70,000 people are here, and Bob Dylan is the reason for it.
Inspired by their true story.
For anyone who's gonna hold your attention on a stage, you have to kind of be a freak.
Are you a freak?
Hope so.
And starring Timothée Chalamet as Bob Dylan. He defied everyone.
Turn it down!
Play loud!
To change everything.
Make some noise, BD.
Timothée Chalamet, Edward Norton, Elle Fanning, Monica Barbaro. A complete unknown. Only in theaters Christmas Day. Rated R. Under 17, not admitted without parent.
Make this summer count with Harvard Summer School. With Harvard's free college programs, high school students gain confidence and insight into what college is all about, challenge themselves, and discover new friends. There are over 200 courses to choose from, including college credit courses. So it's the ideal way for students to learn something new, but most importantly, have fun. Visit info.summer.harvard.edu/Spotify to learn more.
This show is part of the Head Stuff Podcast Network.
This episode of the G-Spot is sponsored by PlayBlue, Ireland's favourite adult store. PlayBlue.ie has a huge selection of adult toys as well as some deadly deals. There really is something for everyone, no matter what bits you have or what you're into. Check out PlayBlue.ie today. So I'm really excited. Today I have Eimear O Reilly. She's a podcaster and tattoo artist, and we met at the Stellar Awards.
We did indeed. It's lovely how we gravitated to, like, it's funny when, you know, coming out of events like that, like, it's so hard to make connections because there's so many people around. But it was lovely that Cian had us in a group chat. We like connected before, and then here I am.
Yeah.
So it's a long lasting connection.
Yeah, and that's the thing about those kind of events, because I was really nervous going. So for anyone listening, it's Stellar Magazine. They have these Insta-Star Awards every year. So it's kind of recognising different content creators and stuff. And I was nominated, which was fab. But, you know, I didn't know a lot of people there. And I'm so glad I linked in with it, and that's Cian Griffin, who was actually on season 1 of the pod.
I saw that.
Yeah, go back and binge listen. But I reached out to Cian and I was like, is there any chance I could just like tag along with you at the beginning, and then, you know, I'm sure I'll meet people, but you don't arrive on your own.
Yeah, he's so good like that.
Yeah, no, he was very good.
He's with my agency, and he reached out to me one day. They were having a big party, and again, I don't really know a lot of people in this world. So he reached out to me and was like, you know, do you want to go together? Like, I know we've never met before. And I was like, these are the type of people, like, people need to do this more often, because like, I don't even do that enough myself, which I should. I'm just way too in my own head. I'm like, do people think I'm weird?
I know.
Do you know that feeling?
I was like that. I was saying to my boyfriend, I was like, oh, I want to ask him, but I feel like a loser. And he was like, Grace, get a grip. Like, honestly, like, have a word with yourself. Just like ask him. Just ask him. If he says no, he says no. Fine.
Of course he won't say no.
Yeah,
I can actually hear him say, get a grip. I can hear him say that. But it was so lovely that he, you know, brought us together, because now here we are, and I'm so excited to be on. Thank you for having me.
Not at all. Thank you for coming in. And you had a podcast with Keelan Moncrief before.
We did, It was called Same But Different. So we spoke kind of just about, it was more like growing up in your 20s. It was a lot of the things that I speak about on my podcast now are kind of the same, but I think with the podcast that I have now is called Outside In, and it's definitely more mental health based, because I struggle a lot mentally, and I'm very open about it, and it's something that I was never open about when I was younger, and now I don't shut up about it. And I think especially recently I got diagnosed with PMDD, which is the way I pronounce this, premenstrual dysonic disorder.
I know it's a mouthful, isn't it?
It's a mouthful. And I'm very dyslexic, so anyway, me trying to pronounce anything, but that only happened recently last year, and I, you know, have noticed, even now I'm 26 and coming into my later 20s, you know, periods and things, it's not spoken about enough, and the effects that it has. And, you know, going on a podcast and telling people, you know, I'm feeling this way, and I'm feeling this way because of my period. The response was crazy, because I didn't know that many people felt that way. So this podcast is very much based on mental health and just a bit of fun as well, you know, a bit of crack. And I love podcasting because it feels like a therapy session each time I do it. You know?
Yeah, sometimes you're kind of thinking out loud during, you know, the recording. You're like, oh, I haven't thought of that. I don't have PMDD, and like my experiences obviously wouldn't be the same, but it's funny because I was saying to Ivan recently, I like before I get my period, I often spot for a few days, and sometimes it can be up to 7 days. And don't send me messages, anyone. It's fine. It's normal. I've talked to my doctor. It's grand. Now it could be not normal in other people, but for me, it's just the way my cycle happens. And I'm like, I spend basically fucking 2 weeks every month either bleeding or crying or angry, irritable, like there's tired, nauseous. There's something going on over those 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
2 weeks is so
and
long.
he was like, I know. He was like, it's just mad. Like I just don't know how you do it.
Half your month nearly. When you think about it, it's like I'm on my period today, and with PMDD, there's good months and there's bad months, and I have OCD as well. So with the OCD and the PMDD, there's actually a link, which is crazy. I didn't know. I follow all these PMDD pages online. And one day it popped up OCD, PMDD, and I went, hang on a minute, that's crazy, because I've had OCD obviously all my life, and the way that the PMDD affects the OCD is basically it enhances everything. So something that I struggle with really badly is intrusive thoughts. Okay. So it will focus on a theme. And it's funny because I only said this in therapy recently. And now that I've said it in therapy out loud, but it's like a lot of my intrusive thoughts could be sexually orientated, disturbing intrusive thoughts. And it's something that I was always so embarrassed about. I was like, how could someone think this way? How could you be thinking this? And this is since a kid. I've always had like intrusive thoughts are intrusive thoughts. It doesn't define you. No. But I always thought that was normal. So it's like with the intrusive thoughts and with the PMDD, it's like it does enhance it. So coming here today, I feel like I'm actually in a really good headspace to be able to talk about all of these things. I find myself, weirdly enough, a little bit more open on my period because I'm like a little bit more chaotic. You know what I mean?
We'll harness that. We're delighted.
A little bit more chaotic. So I'm a little bit more open. Like when I always call myself a bit cuckoo on my period because obviously there's so many hormones going on. There's so many emotions going on. And, struggling with the OCD, it's like, it's basically someone's just wound it up. So it's, trying to get a grasp on that day to day is obviously a struggle, but I've done that. But then when your period hits, it's like, it's nearly like it's brand new again. It's the way that you feel is you question it and you're like, I've never felt this way, but no, it's your period and you feel like this every month. But because it's so bizarre, you think it's new every month.
Yeah, and you nearly forget. It's like, when like women give birth and they might have a horrendous birth or a really tough birth, and then the hormones, whatever hormones kind of get released, this is an unscientific explanation, but basically leads them to forgetting how bad it was, so they want to have another one. Sometimes I'm like, are we forgetting how bad our period? Because I'm like, why am I surprised by it? It's been happening every month for the last, quick maths, 15, 20 years, whatever.
Literally.
Why am I surprised every month when I start? I'm like, I woke up last week and I'm not joking, I was ready to end my relationship, finish the business, give it all up. I was just like a briar getting up. Yeah. And I was like, what the fuck's going on? And I looked at the calendar, I was like, oh, okay. It's day 23, something like that. I was like, why didn't I know this was coming?
It's like, how as well, as we get older, how does it get worse? Yeah. Like it just gets worse. It's like, like the amount of times that I've conversations with my friends and they're going, I can't believe we get periods. Yeah. And I'm like, I know, we're 26, 27, 28, 30, and we're all going, oh my God. Yeah. We actually, because I feel like when you're younger, it's like, you learn about it in school and you're a kid nearly and your life maybe isn't, you're not adulting, and then having to adult with your period, it's honestly nearly a second job, but it's really tough. But do you struggle with like kind of maybe overstimulation on your period? And
like I have a lot of sensory issues, and I'm going through an assessment for that at the moment and kind of trying to figure out, because it really has significantly impacted my life, and I'd be extremely sensitive to certain sounds, sometimes even sights, but it's usually sounds, sometimes textures, different things. And when I'm on my period, or particularly the days before it, oh my God, I nearly need to be in a room on my own all the time because anything could irritate me.
Smells.
Yeah, smells sometimes as well.
I'm like a pregnant woman. Yeah. I woke up the other day And my boyfriend made turkey burgers in the morning, and he always makes his lunch in the morning, and I could smell the turkey burgers for 2 hours after. I had to leave the house, and I was like, okay, I need to go somewhere, and I could still smell that. And I was going, Jesus Christ, is this what it feels like to be pregnant?
Yeah.
Because when the people's sense of smells. Now I have a really good sense of smell anyway, but it's the nausea, and like PMDD actually is linked with nausea too, and it's like morning sickness. Like sometimes I'll be vomiting in the morning, and there's definitely that fear there where you're like, oh God, am I pregnant?
Of course.
And then it's like, it's impossible. I have the coil, so it's like, oh, I'm actually just experiencing morning sickness from PMDD. So it's a tough world. It's a tough world.
It is. I know Katy Perry said it's a woman's world. I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah, no.
Whoever's designing all of this does not have women's best interests in mind.
No, not at all. Not at all.
So you mentioned school a while ago there. Did you get what was your experience actually of sex education growing up, if you got any?
It's funny because honestly, not that much.
Cool.
Now, I was that kid where, I thought you could get pregnant from holding someo's hand. I was, or swimming in a swimming pool. Oh. I was like one of those kids where and now I am like, I didn't have the best focusing in school. I was severely dyslexic, so I definitely am a little bit more behind than everyone else. Now I think I'm street smart, but when it comes to actual scientific facts, I'm not the best. But even when I was growing up, talking about sex was just never, because in my family as well, we never spoke about it. And that's not because my family aren't very conservative or anything like that. But it was just never a topic of conversation. And especially in school, I went to an all-Irish school.
Okay.
And I went to an all-Irish school, primary and secondary school. So even that alone, I feel like it was even more conservative, and it wasn't spoken about. Periods, I swear I'm only learning about that now. I'm learning about everything now, but it is a bit scary because then you leave school and you get in into relationships, or you obviously could have been in relationships in school, but life becomes a little bit more serious, and I'm realizing I actually don't know the general facts of all of this, and that is because we weren't really taught it.
So I'm pretty much the same. A lot of people who've been on this podcast basically say the same thing. Either they didn't get sex education in a formal sense, or they did, but it was bare bones. And again, similar to that, wouldn't have been talked about at home, generally speaking, and not because necessarily there was this that they were really conservative or super religious. It's just more that, it just wasn't the cultural norm, or parents didn't feel equipped to talk about it or whatnot. So then when we don't get sex education from either our parents or school, we find it elsewhere. I always say that you're going to get sex educated one way or the other. So where did you get your education, whether it be bad or good, from? How did you learn about sex and
I guess
what it was?
Through movies and stuff.
Yeah.
I guess through movies and TV shows and media and online. And it's not something that I delve into too much. And I think that is probably because it's never been a topic that has been so open at home, or even for myself, I found that speaking about sex, and I found myself in relationships when I was younger when they were a little bit controlling. So I feel that side of openness and being very open about talking about things, or even when it comes to wearing something sexy, I was always a little bit behind because I either wasn't allowed or it was shameful to talk about this stuff. And I honestly am really only finding myself at this stage now. And, I'm 26 and I'm in an amazingly healthy relationship for the last 2 years. Yeah. And that is how my sex education and how I feel about everything is only kind of coming to the surface now. Yeah. Even when it comes to wearing certain clothes that is sexy, and we as women were viewed as, if you're wearing something revealing, it's she's looking for it, or she's asking for it, or all this kind of stuff. No, it's just feeling comfortable in your own body. And I'm only experiencing all of that now. Yeah.
And it's interesting because you won Best Dressed at the Stellar Awards. Congrats.
Yes, thank you.
Your outfit was revealing. I think that's safe to say. But it's funny because like you looked incredible. But when I looked at you, I didn't think, oh, she's trying to be sexy or this is a sexual look. Whether you felt sexy or not, that's none of my business. Like that's for you to decide.
Yeah.
But like I saw it as very kind of arty and kind of a bit ethereal, a bit witchy. Like those were the vibes I was getting. So it's funny how that like we jumped to that conclusion of like if I'd seen that outfit, being totally honest, when I was like, I don't know, let's say 16, I would have been like, oh my God, why is she wearing that? She's looking for attention.
Yeah.
I didn't have an American accent when I was 16. But you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Whereas now I'm like, I actually don't really even see it through. I don't see, you weren't nude, but I don't see nudity or revealing outfits through that lens really anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I swear to God, I've always had it in me as well where I would pick maybe clothes that were a little bit different, but I was always in situations where maybe I wasn't allowed to wear them. And it wasn't to do with my parents not letting me. It was just the situations in my personal life that, I'd be frowned upon, or I'd be, I would feel like ashamed of expressing myself and even expressing myself through clothing. Like, it's funny because my mammy isn't conservative, but like she's only getting used to the fact of seeing my nipples like through clothes. And, I would like wear maybe a lace top and I'd come in and she'd go, no, I can see your nipples. And I'm like, yeah, mammy, we all have them. That's the point. Now, it's funny me saying that because I don't feel 100% comfortable yet, but I want to feel it.
I'm working on it too.
It's hard. It's really hard. And, as you said, that the dress that I wore to the Stella Awards, I would have done the exact same thing. I would have viewed that and went, Jesus Christ, Jesus, look at her. She's not wearing any clothes, because at the end of the day, I kind of wasn't.
Technically speaking,
I kind of wasn't wearing any clothes. Yeah. Do you know when they took the photos at the end, like they took photos of whatever, and they were like, oh, get in the photo, the photographer. I turned around and the photographer goes, oh, no, turn back around with PG. And I was like,
but you won Best Dressed.
I know. And I was like, okay, well, times still haven't changed because I just won Best Dress for wearing this dress. The whole kind of the most important piece of the dress was behind. Yeah. And they were like, no, turn around, PG. And I was like, Jesus, things really still haven't changed. But that's like my feelings about everything, about sex, about, nudity. It's all changed now because I am in a healthy mindset, and the way that I view what I wore, I didn't view it as sexy. I viewed it as, arty and myself.
Exactly.
You know?
But that's what it was. Again, that's what I saw it as. And if that is sexy, that's fine. And if you feel sexy, that's great. But not to immediately assume that if a woman is showing parts of her body that it's intended to be sexual. No. Like, I love going abroad where you can be topless on a beach, because I just love the feeling of it. And like swimming in the sea, like, and not wearing this just like thing constricting your boobs.
Uncomfortable thing.
Yeah. And like my boobs just seem to be getting bigger, and I'm like, I just love, now still people, there's always going to be people who look, but I think in some cultures it's not as like, oh, she's her top off, whatever, because they're used to it. They have a healthier relationship with nudity.
Absolutely.
We're still a bit pearl clutchy.
I think we are still
it.
a bit behind, aren't we?
Yeah. It's a bit cold here though, to be fair.
It
like
is.
Genuinely.
We don't see it often.
But the awards were perfect timed. Now, you could wear that outfit wherever you like, but I think that the awards were a good time because anything went. And I was wearing this big, like, multicolored dress that was pure me. And I was like, oh, is this a bit much? And then I arrived, I was like, oh, this is conservative compared to most people. Like, this is actually a really like simple look compared to, or safe look. Oh no, I know. Yeah. And like, I wouldn't have worn anything. I loved it, and it had pockets and it was great.
It was gorgeous.
But just looking around, I was like, oh, this is the place to wear whatever you want. So it's good to have a space like that.
I know. And that's it. I mean, with it being an event with influencers or having, people there with platforms, it's nice, the diversity of it is, you don't actually really see kind of styles like that as, you know, fashion bloggers, or because like it is kind of like, I'm not judging here, I'm saying just it's all kind of the samey, and they're the same trends, and they're the same shoes, and they're the same beige coloured nails, and you know, so it's nice to what I just was so grateful. Like, I actually cried after I won the award, and I didn't cry because I thought it was the biggest deal in the world. I cried because I was like, holy shit, I've just been accepted for myself.
Yeah.
That's why
celebrated more than accepted.
Actually celebrated for being completely myself, and I had my arse out.
Yeah.
Do you know what
I know, it's great.
You know?
I've just finished listening to Julia Fox's audiobook, and she... I think the last line of the book is like, you know, people used to make fun for how I dress and how I look, and now everyone's wearing latex because, you know, she started kind of so many trends. I think in 2020, when after she dated Kanye, she like everyone was copying her looks, and I was like, oh, that's actually so cool. Yeah, to come from a place where maybe you did feel shame or did feel weird or different, and then to be actually like celebrated and even copied, imitated.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, that's amazing.
Exactly. So I feel like times are changing in that sense, but it's all
we're getting there.
We are getting there, but it was a really lovely feeling to feel that. Yeah, for sure.
Good. Will we get into a dilemma?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So this is our first one. So, hi, Grace Alice. I'm 25 and female. They've F in brackets here. And I've been in a relationship with a married man for nearly 2 years now. He keeps telling me he's going to leave his wife. And at first, I believed him. He says he's unhappy at home and that their marriage is more of a friendship now. But every time he talks about leaving her, there's always some excuse or reason why now isn't the right time. He is in his early 40s. And has 2 young kids, and I feel he's only staying for their sake. It clearly isn't working out, and he just needs to let go. I've been really patient because I love him and I know he loves me too, but it's starting to feel like I'm stuck in limbo. He tells me he wants a future with me, but I can't help wondering if he'll ever actually leave her or if I'm just wasting my time waiting for something that may never happen. I can't keep living in the shadows, sneaking around, pretending I'm fine with being the other woman. How do I encourage him to finally take that step and leave? So first of all, I know there's going to be listeners absolutely losing their minds listening to this.
I know. I'm holding my breath. I'm like...
I know, don't send us any mean messages now. Initial reactions as I'm reading that. What do you think? What's going on?
My heart goes out to her.
Okay.
Her, yeah.
Her is, the writer.
My heart goes out to her. It's more, what I just feel awful for her is that, you know, the sneaking around, because it's like you're living your life, in a whisper. You're really living your life in a whisper. The one thing I would love to know, does the wife know about it, or is it a secret relationship?
Oh, that's actually a good question, but I doubt she does.
Like, is it an affair?
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's what I got from this.
I've got it as like...
I've been in a relationship. So you're like, they're...
I thought they were still living together, but they were, broken up. Because you know the way, like, a lot of people can't afford to live apart.
Oh, no, he says he's unhappy at home and their marriage is more of a friendship now. But there's no mention that they've broken up.
Okay.
They're still married and very much together. Okay. As far as the wife, that's what I'm getting from this.
Yeah, no, we'll leave it open. We'll leave it open. What do you think?
My first thought is this is a tale as old as time.
Yeah.
And to be honest, if I'm to be really blunt, he's probably not going to leave her. They usually don't, and I'm not just saying this about men, anyone, generally speaking, I think when we look at the research around affairs, usually the person doesn't end up leaving their spouse. Now, sometimes they do. Sometimes it's more that they get caught and then they break up.
Yeah.
There is, not that an age gap is a problem in general, but there is a bit of, I suppose, a gap where he's in his early 40s and she's 25. And he has 2 kids, and it's just like, it feels like he's in this very different stage of his life, and I don't know, the way this is written, I do feel for her too, because I think she might be taken advantage of a little bit. I think she's a bit naive here. For sure. And I just think, again, it's a tale as old as time.
I know.
It's like that older man having an affair with a younger woman. Oh, I'll leave.
Yeah, and there's kids involved as well.
And there's kids. Yeah. And they've been seeing each other for 2 years. And with the kids, the writer is saying, oh, he's just staying for the kids and he just needs to let go. I know where that's coming from, but like that's really his call.
Yeah, I know.
That's really not for her to say.
Yeah. And it's also kind of one of those things where, like, how long have they been seeing each other there for?
2 years. Yeah.
Like 2 years is a very long time
Yeah.
to be sneaking around. That can
Yeah.
really affect your mental health as
Yeah.
well. Like, is she allowed to tell people that they're seeing each other? Is it a secret?
Yeah.
Like that's, you know, that is going to really affect you mentally, and also the insecurities that you will feel from this whole thing will have such a long-lasting effect on you if you don't do something now.
Yeah.
Because if you are going to live your life constantly sneaking around and feeling like the other woman, like, you deserve so much more than that.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
you deserve to be the woman, not the other woman.
Yeah.
And people don't realize their worth. And especially when it comes to an older man or a woman or whatever, it's like there is maybe a slight bit of, like, what's the word?
Power imbalance.
Power imbalance, exactly.
Oh,
And
there is. I think
100%.
generally speaking,
and in this case, like, if I was to give advice now, as I said, I'm not a professional or anything, but I would have that conversation very stern and say, look, it's me or nothing. And I know feelings are involved, and, you know, the heart wants what it wants, but, like, you are so much more important than, you know, this, you know, you're so much more important. Your insecurities, everything will heighten if you continue to live your life this way.
Yeah. And, like, you have to think about, are you in a relationship or are you in a sexual relationship, right? So they've been seeing each other for 2 years. Again, we're assuming, well, he is still married. We're assuming that for all intents and purposes, he's still in a relationship with his wife. They're not broken up. They're not separated. Like, nothing like that has happened. So obviously they're sneaking around. So, you know, visions of hotels and this stuff is coming to mind. All very exciting, all very thrilling. You're only getting one part of the person, one version of the person. And that's what, you know, people have affairs, and it is very, often the thrill of it is actually what is kind of powering the whole thing. And once you take away that, is there actually a relationship there? I don't think she knows. I think she feels there is, but there might be feelings tied up there because they are having sex.
Yeah.
Like, does he love her? Like, she's probably feeling feelings of love for him. But again, just thinking about that, the writer, is she even sure she wants this relationship? Because, and I'm not trying to, you know, it's not about, like, shaming the woman. Like, it's a complicated relationship, but, like, he's one half of this, right? But, like, if a family is breaking up and there's kids involved and the whole lot, you want to make sure it's for something really, like, worthwhile.
Yeah.
Not just
for sure.
something that's going to be sexual. And, like, that's probably for him to think about as well. I don't know, is he doing much thinking, to be honest? I'm really cynical about this one. You know, is it that he just, there's so many reasons people have affairs and cheat. Like, is he actually in love with this writer? Or is he just, I don't know, has their sex life fallen off? Has the love fallen off in the marriage? Is he not feeling seen? Is he not, there could be so many reasons.
Is it exciting? Is
it
it new?
just exciting and new and novelty?
Yeah, yeah.
And is this a young woman?
You just stole the words out of my mouth. Young
that makes
woman,
him maybe feel young. And
and it makes, again, that, like, a little bit of power there.
Yeah.
That is the question. Is it worth it?
Yeah.
And also it's like, is it a relationship? You know, are you just, you know, going to hotels and sleeping together, or are you?
Because that's not a relationship.
Yeah, it's
now,
not.
I'm not saying it can never develop into one, but, like, it's like taking, like, the best part. You know, when we say Instagram is like, oh, it's a highlight of our lives, we only show the best parts. Like, that's kind of what a lot of affairs are. It's just like you're on the highlight reel and you're getting the best of each other. Yeah. You're getting the excited, turned on, you know, vibrant part of each other. But a long-term committed relationship is forged in the everyday and
the
deeper,
doing normal things together, and being able to, you know, not feel paranoid of being seen. Because I'm sure that's probably a huge paranoia of, like, can you go out for dinner without feeling, are we going to be seen, or do you even go out for dinner?
Yeah,
you know, it's that's a difficult one. And as I said, you know, I think you are worth so much more than that.
And, like, you're 25.
Yeah.
Like,
you have your whole life ahead of you.
And, like, I'm just thinking, so she would only have been, let's say, 23 getting into this. And he probably, if he's in his early 40s, like 40. I'm like, that, again, it's like, I'm never saying these are the best years of your life, because I don't believe that that's different for everyone. But at the
Absolutely.
same time, your 20s are a special time where you do have even maybe a bit more freedom, where you're not sure what your career is yet, or I don't know, there just generally can be a bit more time for exploration. You physically just have more energy, even to
you're
go
figuring
out and
things
all of
out.
it. Yeah. So like, I would say don't waste like any more years on someone who's like, he's already married, he has kids. It's going to be a huge... I would be surprised if he left, to be honest. I would be. Just going by kind of what usually happens.
Yeah.
Is he just keeping her interested with these promises?
Yeah.
And, you know.
And also, like, are you prepared for that kind of life as well?
Yeah.
Because like, not only is, you know, there's kids involved, you know, there is an ex-wife involved, if it ever comes to that. And, you know, a lot of people like that, you know, that doesn't suit a lot of people. No. And like, you can't obviously help who you love. And, you know, if you love someone so much, of course you'll do anything. But in the situation that it is now, it's like they're not broken up. So you kind of coming in this way may not end well with the kids, or end well with the wife. And you kind of have to be on good terms for it to maybe work in the long run, or else I guess things will be a little bit difficult. Yeah. You know, a little bit difficult.
A little
bit difficult.
Christmas will be...
Yeah, Christmas would be interesting.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where you have to think of every single situation, because it's a lot on the line, you know, and you are only 25.
It's so young. And like, I'm just thinking and again, there's many reasons people have affairs and cheat. And I think I discussed this with Padraig in season 1, where we were like, you know, not everyone who is cheated is always going to cheat. It's not that, like, you know, the world is divided into good people and cheaters, right? There's a whole spectrum of cheating that goes on, or being unfaithful, whatever way you want to put it. But I think if you're having an affair with someone who's married, it's difficult because you're already starting from a place of dishonesty. And, you know, thinking of the wife in this, who I really feel for as well, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Like, any relationship she has with him, as far as I'm concerned, it's not really consensual anymore, because she doesn't know all of this that's happening. So she can't even really consent to be in the relationship she's in with him, because her decision might be different if she was aware that he was literally sleeping with someone else for 2 years. Yeah. So you're kind of... You know, if they were to start a relationship, if he left his wife and they start a relationship, it would be hard. Wouldn't it be hard to trust?
I was just going to say, it'd be so hard to trust. Yeah. Like, that's the first thing that would come to your head. And like, to be honest, like, the way that I view relationships, like, I'm extremely committed. Like, once I'm in love, I'm in love.
You're in it.
I'm in it. And like, it's a bit weird. Like, I don't even nearly find people attractive anymore. That's how, and I'm just a very hard lover. And it's one of those things where that would be the first thing on my mind. Yeah. And I wouldn't be able to get past it, because it's like, well, if they did this with me, you know, they could do it again. And the fear of anyone having a wandering eye when you're with them, you know, no one wants that fear. No. And it's such a big secret. You know, not only now in any relationship, you know, cheating and, you know, having affairs, kids involved or not, like, that is awful. But like, there is a lot involved with this, and it's like, it's a very big secret for him to be keeping. So it's like, what else could he be keeping?
Well, that's it. Like, is this the first affair he's had? Will it be the last? If they, you know, if they don't see each other anymore. Like, her question is, how can I convince him to take the step and leave? And I'm like, you actually really can't. You can't convince him to do it, probably. Maybe you're thinking about it not in the healthiest way. I can understand where she's coming from. But as you said, I think it's about having that discussion of like, this has been going on 2 years. What is this to you? Like, let's be honest. Now, he could still tell her everything she wants to hear. So you need to set a boundary yourself that, like, look, it's been long enough. It's been enough of my time and energy.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. And it's going to be tough, you know. I mean, as we say, the heart wants what it wants, but I don't really think your heart knows yet.
No.
You don't know yet.
No.
And again, you're 25. Frontal lobe is just developed.
I know.
Give it a year and you'll go, what the hell was I doing?
Like, I know it's so hard because, like, I'm a sex and intimacy specialist, and like, I have this professional hat and I have this personal hat, and like, there is a Venn diagram, there's an intersection as well. But like, you know, if someone came to me and we were in a session and they were telling me about this, I'm obviously going to be in complete like empathy, compassion mode. They're my clients, so I'm focused on them. When I'm sitting here as just Grace, just a regular woman, I'm like, the love of your life probably isn't a much older married man with kids who's been sneaking you around for 2 years. Like that's probably not going to be the person, is it? You know, let's be real. And that's really hard to hear at 23 and 25. I remember, not that I was having affairs with married men, but I remember being in that age and like that, feeling things very intensely and seeing things. I think there's a real lack of empathy for his wife coming across as well. She's like, oh, he's just staying for the kids. He just needs to let go. It's clearly not working. But like, I know that's how you might see it at that age. But I think when you get a bit older and you see like marriage is like long-term relationships are more complicated.
Of course.
And yeah, they do get boring and they go through periods that aren't great. But like, they're the bits that hopefully you get through.
Yeah.
And it's not just like discarding it. Oh, it's clearly not working. Let's just get rid of it. It's not that simple.
It's never that simple, you know.
Yeah.
Do you believe in love at first sight?
No.
No?
But I believe people can experience that feeling.
Yeah.
But to me, love, I suppose it depends your definition of love. Maybe I don't understand what love at first sight, the way people define it. But like for me, I'm like, I believe in lust, attraction, connection, even intimacy, all of those things at first sight. For me, I suppose love is something that's built over time.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think you can see someone think there's something special here.
That's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I absolutely think people experience that. What do you think? Like, how do you feel about it? Or...
I never believed in it.
Okay.
Until it happened to me.
Right. Okay.
And like I've been in many relationships in my life, like long-term relationships as well.
Yeah.
And I never believed in love at first sight. I thought it was a load of bollocks. Am I allowed to swear?
Yeah.
Oh, right. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
A load of bollocks. And then like it's always, you know, and I sound so like cheesy, but it is kind of always when you least expect it. And it's like that I was at this stage in my life where I was like, I don't want anything. I need to be single for a while. I came out of a long-term relationship and I was like, I need to work on myself. And it was just one day I met my boyfriend at a party and it wasn't even just like, there was no words involved. It was literally a look.
Yeah.
And it was that moment where I was like, oh, it's you. And he's, said the same thing for me. And it was, there and then it was like, we're together. And I remember everyone being like, be careful, because obviously there's things of love bombing and, you just don't know. But it was, now I've been love bombed before. So I knew the difference.
Same.
But I never believed in that whole kind of just one look.
Yeah.
Until it happened to me. And I guess because I was so cynical towards everything, like I had a conversation with my mom before I met my partner and I was like, I'd never want to get married. I said, I don't believe in it. I don't believe, why would people spend all this money in getting married? Would you not go and do this? And then a week later I came in and said, I just met the love of my life and I'm going to marry him. And even she nearly fell off the bed because she was like, okay, hang on a minute. This is so unlike you. So I guess now because I'm in the relationship that it's like I view love as this extremely special topic. And when I think of this poor girl in this situation, it's not meant to be like that.
No.
It's not meant to be like that. It's meant to be special. And well, I'm not saying it's meant to be, but it's not meant to be as complicated as that.
No.
You shouldn't be sneaking around and you shouldn't feel that way.
No. It shouldn't hurt so much from the beginning. It shouldn't be so difficult from the beginning. That's kind of my view on it, because love, you do, again, it can hurt, like you because that's the flip side of it. If you love someone, that means you can be hurt by them. That's the vulnerability of it, right? But like from the beginning though, it's like, oh, we're starting with so many red flags, we could make a dress out of this. Like, it's just like, like whatever about later going through rocky patches, fine, that's going to happen.
Of course.
But, I think she does deserve better. I think the wife deserves better. So, and going back to what you said about love there, do you know what I wish we had? and this is a kind of linguistic thing, I wish we had more words for different types of experiences of love, right? So, because do you know the way you were like, oh, do you believe in love at first sight? Again, no, from my understanding of, I suppose, when I think of the love I have for my partner, I'm like, I was so attracted to him, really interested, really connected. And we were like that. We went for one date and that was it. Like there was no games, no, it was straight in. But the love was built, I feel. And the love I feel for him now is a different type of love I felt for him in the first few months.
Wow.
And they're both fab, but like they're different.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm like, maybe we just need more, you know.
Yeah, I that's so interesting.
Layers of love or
that
something,
it's like that you feel that it's like different because no one would ever speak about that. I so totally get it. It's I guess as well, like, you know, your partner is nearly your best friend. And I firmly believe that. And a lot of people are like, no, you know, they're not your best friend, but they actually are. You know, you have to be able to tell them things, be open with them.
Have the components of a friendship.
Have an actual friendship. And of course, when you first meet someone, you're not best friends with them automatically. It is that type of, you build that love, but you're so right, there needs to be more words to describe it, because love is so broad when you think about it.
Yeah. Like we say, you know, I love this weather. I love like chocolate. I love
that perfume. Like,
we have this one word.
It's overused nearly.
Yeah, we'll have to invent a new word now. That's what we'll have to
That's
get on.
That's the mission.
Complicate everything. No, but honestly, I think it would actually sometimes help, because it you know, we slap the word love on so much. You know, even she has said, what did she say? I love him. I know he loves me too. And I'm like, I'm not saying he doesn't, but I'm saying, you know, I actually do believe you can love two people at once. That is something I believe. It's probably, unless you're polyamorous, I imagine it could be quite stressful to love two people.
Oh my God, yeah.
And again, I do think that changes the nature of the love if you know, anyway, I'm getting very deep into the definition.
I'm loving this, because it's definitely a topic needing to be had, because you're dead right. People do overuse the word love.
Yeah.
It's nearly like how, like, I definitely, like, well, I don't do it now, but it's like, you know, when everyone's your best friend.
Oh yeah.
But like when I was younger, you had one best friend. You know, and my mommy always says that to me. She's like, everyone can't be your best friend. But I'm like, but they are my best friend. But it is true. It's like, it's just being overused. Like there needs to be, what is it? We'll call them great friends, but it doesn't hit the same.
I know.
It doesn't hit the same, because like, you know, obviously now when I say it, when I was younger, or maybe even a few years ago, I'd say everyone was my bloody best friend. But obviously when you get older, your group gets smaller, and you know, people leave, or, you know, people drop off the face of the earth, and then you really know who your friends are.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think as well, like within relationships, when you're in a relationship, the people who are so happy for you, that really shines through as well, because, you know, I remember being in relationships when I was younger and being given out to for spending time with my boyfriend.
Oh my God, I'm the same. And I couldn't blame them, to be honest, from some of them. But yeah, no, I know what you mean. Yeah, it depends on the relationship and whatnot. And I think I was in a really abusive relationship when I was younger, and my friends, God love them, because we were only 20, 21-ish. They hadn't a clue how to navigate it. I mean, I was in my whole thing with him and kind of locked into it, and they didn't know. They would just like essentially kind of give out or shame me for it, which drove me further towards him.
Yeah, of course. I'm really sorry to hear that as well. It's
thank you. No, I've talked about it a lot. It was awful. It was probably like, even overusing words. Trauma, I think, is another one that's overused. That was trauma. Like that was the traumas. That was traumatic. Yeah. But that was a long time ago now, and I've done so much work since then. But it's just, you mentioned that, like, just thinking of my friends, like they didn't know how to navigate it. No. And, you know, as you said, when you meet someone then that you're really happy with and it's going well, you know, your friends should be happy for you. And,
yeah.
and that's a good sign as well. Because if you trust your friend's judgment, like even with this woman, I wonder, do her friends know? What do they say? What's
I'd
the
love
story?
to know more.
They're probably saying what we say. They're probably like, he's probably not the one, babe.
Yeah. But sometimes it's so much harder to say that. So they're probably like, oh, yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to burst the bubble as well. You don't want to hurt their feelings.
Or overstep, I suppose, and jeopardize your own friendship with them. See, I'm that friend that has gotten into trouble for just being like, oh, he's awful. Now I've softened my approach, and I think I like all my friends' partners now. I can't think of anyone I don't like, but there's definitely been like assholes in the past where I'm like, oh my God, you're a glorious queen. And he is like, oh, he's desperate. Like,
and
he's a little worm.
And that feeling of like, you know, being completely honest and like, that could drive them away from telling you things. And especially like, you know, I've had a friend who was in an extremely abusive relationship, and like, I know that sometimes she was probably scared to tell me things because she knew how much I didn't like him. So it was like, that's actually a multiple friends, you know, and like, you have to be honest with your friends. As much as you think it's going to sting, you have to be honest with them, because honest to God, one day they'll turn around and they'll say, thank you.
And that happened to me, that we had a bit of a falling out, and she's one of my really, really good friends, and she's married to a wonderful man now. And I was very vocal about the ex, and but I was there for her when they split up. Like, I was like, I'm still going to be your friend. I honestly can't say that I support the relationship, because that would just be disingenuous. Like, I care about you too much, and I'm just that person who, I am the honest friend, like, and but I want that back as well. So that's just like, you know, I think that's being a good friend.
I know, absolutely. I completely agree. Absolutely.
Today is the day, lovely listeners. Not only will I be giving you a fab toy recommendation, but I'll also be announcing our Season 2 competition winner. So firstly, this week's toy is a brilliant choice if you're curious at all about anal play. It's the silicone anal bubble chain by Alive, brought to you, of course, by our sponsor PlayBlue. So the toy has these graduated bubbles that slowly increase in size, and it's made of that super soft silicone. It's perfect for easing into things at your own pace, which we know is the key to a comfortable and pleasurable experience. Pair this bubble chain with a good lube from PlayBlue and you'll be sorted. Now, a huge thank you to everyone who entered our Season 2 competition, and of course to PlayBlue for making it all possible as our sponsors. The winner of the PlayBlue collection, worth over €300, is Catherine Hughes. That's Insta handle at HughesCCJ. So a massive congratulations, Catherine. For everyone else, don't forget, you can still treat yourself. Use the code GRACE10 at playblue.ie for 10% off your entire order. Thank you so much for tuning in and for making this season such a success. And I will see you all back at the G-Spot in 2025.
This show is part of Head Stuff Podcasts. Here's another show you might like.
So, technically, we've hijacked this podcast just for a minute.
It's not hijacking if you ask nicely first, Afif.
Did we ask nicely? Hi, my name is Afif.
And I'm Anne. Together, we host The Baby Tribe, Ireland's #1 parenting podcast, where science meets the chaos of real life. At Baby Tribe, we bring evidence-based information and real-life stories to help you parent in a way that works for your family.
Whether you're dealing with explosive nappies, sleep struggles, or the great how do you actually bathe the slippery baby conundrum, we've got you covered.
Oh, the punamis, I can never forget those.
Listen to The Baby Tribe wherever you get your podcasts.
With Lululemon, the real gift happens when your holiday checklist is complete. When you give them the fan-favorite Everywhere belt bag, you both get to experience more of this. And when the ultra-soothing Rest Feel slides are their gift, you both get more moments like this. This holiday, Lululemon makes it easy to find last-minute gifts that bring presents. Open the moment. Shop now at Lululemon.com.
Over the last 16 years, the Subaru Share the Love event has supported charities like the ASPCA, Make-A-Wish, Meals on Wheels America, and the National Park Foundation. When you buy or lease a new Subaru from now until January 2nd, Subaru and its retailers will donate a minimum of $300 to charity. Support a great cause today at Subaru.com/share.
Okay, we'll go on to a second dilemma, will we? This one's different completely. So, hi, Grace Alice. I'm 35 and I've been married for 9 years. Recently, my wife decided to stop shaving and waxing and embrace more of her body hair, especially her pubic hair. She explained to me how tired she is of spending money on painful waxes and how she finds shaving irritating to her skin, and also wants to reject the beauty standards that she feels have been forced on women. I completely support her decision in theory, and I want her to feel comfortable and confident in her own body. But if I'm really honest, I've found myself struggling with the change more than I thought I would. I didn't realise how much of a turn-off it would be for me, and now I'm feeling guilty about it. I don't want to be shallow or make her feel bad about embracing her natural self, but I also can't help how I feel. I've been avoiding sex a bit lately because I'm just not as turned on as I used to be. I feel awful even admitting that because I love her and I don't want to hurt her feelings. My exes all used to get almost all of their pubic hair removed, and to be honest, it's what I got used to seeing in porn as well, and I think that just became the norm for me. I don't want to tell her what to do with her body, but what should I do? I'm wincing here for anyone that's not.
I'm going to play therapist here just for a second, but I think there's a deeper rooted issue there because honestly, like, if you are in love with your partner, who cares? Like, you know, it's one of those things, like, who cares what's on their body or what hair or what length, or it would be like your partner deciding one day, I'm going to shave my head or I'm going to get a new hairstyle. You know, I understand that it's like, you know, what they're used to, but it's the exact same as if you decided to shave your head or if I decided to shave my head.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
And it's like, but it's just different. But it's still the same. You're still the same, but it's just different. So, I mean, I personally, I obviously feel for this person as well because they feel guilty, but it is, you can't view it as different because it's not.
Yeah.
It's just a different style.
Yeah, and like, I suppose he said, you know, he's used to seeing it in porn and like his exes, you know, did that. And I know something can become a norm that used to, because sometimes I hear, this is different, but I hear American girls talking about uncircumcised men, and they're like, oh my God, he was uncircumcised. I'm like, oh my God, most people are uncircumcised here.
Yeah.
Do you know, so it's almost like a cultural difference and maybe kind of shocks people initially. But like, you can't, like, he's right in that he said he can't tell her what to do with her own body.
No way.
I do get the guilt because, like, obviously, as you said, there probably is something deeper, but he is having this reaction, and it's do you know what I'm thinking of? And I'm all for body hair. I'm like, go her.
Yeah.
I'm delighted for her.
Do whatever you want.
But like, I maybe I'm a bit of a hypocrite because I had an ex who I got with when he had a beard, and we kind of started our relationship then. And now it wasn't a long relationship. We were only together like, I'm going to say 5 months in total, right?
Okay.
So it was a bit fleeting. But we were together, and one day he had shaved his beard off, and like it gave me an awful land. Like, I'm not joking.
Oh my God.
Like, it gave me an awful fright.
Fair enough.
Like I feel so bad saying this because it's not a reflection on him. I felt a lot less attracted to him.
Wow.
Not as like a person.
Yeah, of course.
Some people are more visual than others, I feel, possibly, and might struggle a bit more. I think I don't think I'm shallow, but I think I am quite visual in that, like, I like to be really attracted to how my partner looks. But I also know that they're not going to look the same forever, and that's fine. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
It's a scary one as well, because you're like, I find thinking about, like, if I'm like, I'm going to change my hair, I'm like, the first thing I would think about is, what would my partner think?
Yeah.
Instead of,
I know,
what would I think?
Yeah.
You know, there's been times where I want to get dreadlocks. I want to get, I want to have, I don't even know, shave underneath my hair. I want to do so many things. God love my hair though. It's gone through the wars. So it's like I'm not touching it because it's actually
leave it alone.
Yeah, leave it alone. It's crying for help. But it is the first thing you think. What is my partner going to think?
Yeah.
Are they still going to like me? And like, I think that way. So like, I can completely understand this situation. But I guess when it comes to being intimate with your partner, it's just like, golly gosh, it's your partner, you know?
I know. And I think there's probably some false information out there that like I would have grown up with, that like pubic hair was unclean or it was manly or it was like, you know, for women, it was seen, as far as I can remember, as something very negative. And like I was that girly who got sucked into getting the Hollywood waxes. I cannot believe I used to pay someone every month to get my pubes ripped out in an excruciating fashion. And I'm not one of these people that like waxing is fine. No, I found it really painful.
Oh, horrific.
It's your labia, like.
Yeah, no, horrific.
And I did that for years. And then I kind of was like, I can't do the waxing. And then I kind of started shaving. And it's funny because I actually did go to my partner a few years ago and I was like, he had never, ever mentioned it, put pressure on me. This was all kind of, I had absorbed it and just kept going with it. And I was like, I'm just sick of it. I'm like, the shaving makes me so itchy. Waxing, I'm just not paying someone to, it's not happening. And I was like, look, I think I might just like shave a bit and then just trim the rest or something. I was just kind of saying what would feel more literally physical, comfortable. And he was like, why are you telling me this?
Oh, no way. It hadn't even crawled.
No, but he was like, he was like, are you asking me if I'm okay with it? And I was like, I suppose I am. I didn't realize I was, but I guess I kind of am because it was so ingrained in me that men don't find that sexy. And he was like, he literally said, it's your body. He said those 3 words. And I was like, fab.
Wow.
And he wouldn't, and I know he wouldn't, and I'm grateful for that. But so it might be for him, this guy, just thinking about maybe what are the associations in your head around pubic hair? Like, is it from literally way back when you were told it was nasty or unhygienic or like, because I still hear that from teenagers that it's unhygienic.
Really?
Having pubic hair.
Why would
Whereas it's actually more hygienic to have it.
Really?
Yeah.
No, I didn't know that. I know I don't really think of it like I do.
You're not lying awake at night
thinking
about
it. Lying awake. Oh my God. No, it's like more just I haven't really thought about it. Like I have blonde hairs.
Okay.
And so I'm a blondie through and through. So to be honest, the pubic hair situation has never bothered me as much as it would my friends because I'm blonde. So it would be like even if I wasn't even if I wasn't shaving, or if I've, waited, my hairs are I'm giving you guys some information here. My hairs are very coarse and thick. Yeah. So like it actually takes longer to grow. So I can go like 2 weeks and it literally there'd be nothing there.
Like mine is coarse and thick and it grows back straight away.
Like,
what am I cursed with? Like
I feel my eyebrows. No, it's not because they're bleached.
Oh yeah.
I don't know what it is, but my armpit hair and my pubic hair, like it is so coarse that it just takes longer to grow. I don't know why, but it's
good for you.
I know. It's like, oh, do you want a medal?
I'm so happy for you.
Yeah, it's never been a thing on my head, but I've always thought about my friends because like even I had friends bleaching their arm hairs from a young age. And it's crazy.
I saw people use shave their arms at school.
Shave their or like bleach their arm hairs, and it makes me so sad because I'm like there's nothing we can do about it, and that's why I think I get quite defensive, even though like I haven't experienced that feeling. Well, of course, we all go on holidays and we all have hairs on our bikini line, and we're like, oh God, and I've had that multiple times, and felt embarrassed or whatever. But like, why do we feel so embarrassed? Like,
I know.
What? Like, when was that ingrained in us that it's something? Because like I grew up, that's all I knew is like shave everywhere, everything everywhere.
Yeah.
And
but then put extensions in your head and your eyelashes, and like the more hair the better on these specific parts, and then everything else gone. Get rid.
God. It's crazy. But I think in this situation, like God love him, like I really do feel for him because he's obviously being very honest.
Yeah.
And he recognizes it. But I think, again, I'm going to play therapist. There's a deeper rooted issue here and that you need to figure it out because it's definitely nothing to do with the visual side. There's something else, because at the end of the day, it's your partner. We see each other in all ways. We see each other. It's like, if your partner sees you having a mental breakdown, they're not going to view you as different or unattractive. It's just a different version of you. So I think personally, you need to ride this one out.
Yeah, and I think it's very likely he might get used to it as well, because when I first kind of was like, okay, I don't need to get rid of all my pubes 24/7. It did take a while to be like comfortable in that, and now I'm like, oh yeah, it's good. Like you kind of adapt to changes over time.
Absolutely.
So while it might be a bit of a shock now, because again, it's just not what you're used to, and like again, I'm really conscious as well that like sex is very. When we think of, I suppose, I'm not a neuroscientist, but the neurology of it, we have all these visual cues that set off these responses in our brain and different things like that. So if he has these deep-grained beliefs about women or hair or bodies, that could be setting off basically a turn-off signal, like, putting your foot on the brakes. So, exploring that, I think, a bit more. And if he's communicating with his partner, well, number one, wait, don't say anything yet, because reflect in your own time first.
Playing with fire.
Yeah. And then secondly, if there does need to be a conversation, if it's like, sex still isn't really, like he's still pulling away from it and he's still struggling with it. If you're going to talk about it, you have to be explicitly clear that this is actually not about her and her hair, that this is just like, a block he has that is his own response. It's his own thing, if that makes sense. Because the last thing you want to do is shame a woman who's getting to a place of lovely acceptance and comfort.
She probably has felt the most comfort around this partner.
Yeah.
That's probably why.
Yeah.
Because she feels loved in every way, that she's probably like, I don't need to keep up with this maintenance because I'm going to be loved and accepted every other way.
You've just reminded me, I remember a sex educator before sharing online that she felt that it was no coincidence that she first started having orgasms when she stopped deciding to remove all her pubic hair. And she was like, it wasn't a physical thing about the hair, but it was about that, like, getting more comfortable in your body, being more in your body, not worrying about how it looks. And, his wife, okay, there might be this physical change, but sex actually could possibly get even better because she's going to be more comfortable in herself.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's just these standards, isn't it? It's really and now there's a lot more pubic hair in porn, I think now, but it's like any trend, it goes in and out, and it's madness.
Absolutely. There was a trend, like not a trend, but like there was a lot of people decided to stop shaving their armpits, and like it looked like a trend because kind of, I think when one person does it and puts it out there and makes people feel comfortable, then, other people start to follow. And I think that's the great thing about, like, with social media and stuff. It's like, influencers or whoever putting things out that isn't within the ordinary and saying, no, I'm not doing this anymore. And people being like, oh, well, if they do it, it's okay for me to do it, and making people feel more comfortable to be different. But it is, it's hard to keep up with these standards. And I think, like, that's so last year. Do you know what I mean? We're so, girls, do whatever you want. Guys, do whatever you want. Everyone, just do whatever you want. Because at the end of the day, it's your body.
It is.
And I'd say if he listens, which hopefully he does, he'll realise that, it really isn't a big deal. And if anything, it's sexier that she's just feeling herself. And she's like, I'm loved, and I'm being accepted by my husband, and I'm feeling comfortable enough to not have to live up to these standards. And that's beautiful. And hopefully he can see that it's actually a reflection on their relationship, nearly.
That's true. And just give it a bit of time. And as well, the irony of this is that getting pubic hair actually symbolises our maturity out from childhood. We're growing into a woman, but it's seen then as unfeminine to have pubic hair. And it's like, make up your mind. Like, no.
Make up your mind.
It's ridiculous. And like, I'm someone who, now I have had laser done. Not everywhere, not in everything, but I have it a bit done. And I kind of just decided that, like, now my hair is very dark and I'm very pale and I grow so quickly. I don't know what the stories with coarse, thick hair grows. Mine is like literally back the 2 days. So I was like, do you know what? This isn't a hill I need to die on. I'll just get the underarms and legs. Because actually, it doesn't remove it all. It's just reduction.
Yeah.
I still get
does
hair.
it not remove it all?
No, it's not permanent.
You know, blondes can't get it.
I think they can now.
They can now.
Yeah.
Can they?
I think the technology has advanced.
It's advanced because I
think it's still more successful with paler skin, darker hair.
Yeah. Because I that was another thing that I was like, well, I can't get that either. So
yeah. So it's not even an option.
It's not even an option for me.
And to be fair, like it was, I did find it gave me a boost because I didn't actually want to grow out my legs and underarms. Mm-hmm. But if I want to get rid, I'd have to shave, which I get really itchy when I so I was like, I'm just going to do it. But it's funny because for some reason I got laser right on my lip and chin, and because I had really dark hair here, and I really don't want a beard at this point. You know, it's just not something I want. Some people are comfortable growing out their facial hair. Women, I'm just not. And I got it done, and it was work to treat. And then I came off the pill, and whatever happened, it just like. It got way worse than it ever was, my chin. And then I got more laser and it got worse again.
No way.
So now it's at the point where I actually have to get, you know, the kind of precision razors, like derm razors. I have to do that every second day. It's so dark and like plentiful. But the way I'm trying to reframe it in my head is rather than look in the mirror, which used to be like, oh, that's like so disgusting. Like I've so many dark hairs all over my chin. I start thinking, oh, well, that's the estrogen. Like
it's hormonal.
That's the hormonal.
Yeah.
And look at my lovely long hair on my head that is so healthy and
your
long
eyebrows,
and like
your gorgeous eyelashes.
Do you know? I'm like, that's you can't pick and choose, Grace.
It's all
you know?
part of the process. I'm starting to get these. Since I got the coil, I got this. The coil that I have I had the copper coil for years just because I didn't want any hormones in my body. But I used to get 2 periods a month and it was a huge ordeal. And I would lose a lot of blood. So I have this coiling called the Jadis, and it's like a micro kind of pill.
Yeah.
And since getting that in, I have started to get these long, coarse, dark hairs on my chin.
Yeah.
And actually on my nipples as well.
That happens as well, yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, and it's funny, I actually haven't been upset about it because I'm like, it's nearly fascinating because it's a completely different colour to my hair as well. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So like, instead of feeling sad about it now, it is frustrating. And sometimes I look at it and I'm like, oh my God. But instead of, you know, feeling upset about it, I've just started to, I don't know, I guess not enjoy it, but I'm like, okay, that's another thing that I'll do with my shave and shower. I'll pluck the hairs out.
Yeah.
You know, it's like part of my routine now is like plucking the hairs out of my chin. It's not so bad.
Oh, stop, I'm hacking at them. Hacking at them with a razor.
No one talks about these things because it happens to everyone. We all get them.
100%.
And especially like hormonal women who are, you know, late 20s, early 30s, like all those changes start to happen and we all start to see those changes in our bodies, and it's nothing to be embarrassed about.
No,
we all get it. Like you're not the only one. If you're sitting at home looking at your nipples going, oh my God, I have a brown hair on my nipple, you're not the only one. We all get it.
No, exactly. Or if you're looking at your chin and you've you're literally getting the 5 o'clock stubble, I'm like, oh my God. But I have it too, and loads of people do. And again, like actually hair growth, and it's just about the mindset. It's actually a sign of health. Like if your body wasn't healthy, your hair growth would slow down or it wouldn't be happening. And like, you know, even like if women lose their periods and all kinds of things can happen. So, you know, sometimes we can look at things in a better lens where we're like, oh, this means my body's healthy and growing. It's blooming.
Yeah. It's really fascinating.
It kind of is.
Especially because when it's darker, I'm like, oh my God.
You're like, what is this?
I'm like, oh my God, this is crazy. So I'm like, I haven't felt sad about it.
Good.
Touch wood.
Good.
Touch wood. I'm more just like, that's just another thing to add to my list in my shower.
Yeah.
You know?
The list will probably just keep growing.
Keep growing. Excuse the pun.
Yeah. I didn't do that on purpose. I actually didn't. Okay, fabulous. Well, I think we've responded as best we can to those 2 dilemmas. Do you want to just finish by plugging yourself anywhere you want people to see your bits?
So I have my own podcast. It's Outside In with Eimear O Reilly, and it's available on all platforms. My tattoo page is squid ink _blackrock. So if you're looking for some ink head over to me. And yeah, I guess thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed this conversation, and thank you for just being yourself. It's really nice. Like you can see that you really love what you do, and you have such an interest in it, and it's so nice to see. And I'm just really grateful you asked me on. Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming on. Yeah, I definitely love it. I wouldn't be driving up from Kerry at 6:30
if
I didn't love this shit.
You'd want to love it.
A huge thank you to PlayBlue, Ireland's favourite adult store, for sponsoring this episode of The G-Spot. You can browse through their impressive selection of toys, lingerie and lots more sexy essentials at playblue.ie.
This show is part of the Head Stuff Podcast Network, a hub for the creative and the curious. Shows are produced in association with Head Stuff and the Podcast Studios Dublin. Find out more or become a member at headstuffpodcasts.com.